Yeah.
He said he sent me an email. I gave him your email address. See if you got an email from Carlos from Healthy Richmond. If not, I'll forward the email to you when we get through with this. I'll forward it to you, okay?
Yeah.
So I was asking Robert, so when Sherry spoke last meeting about her running for the board, right?
Right.
And he said he would give other opponents a chance to present at the MAC. Well, I was trying to ask him, was Annie going to present, but I never did get a clear answer from him because that would be unfair to Sherry. She came and asked for a recommendation, and we said, let's wait and let the other candidates present before MAC decide to recommend anybody or either endorse anybody. So we'll see what happens with that.
Well, I don't. Yeah. I thought that the end of the conversation was that we had said that each MAC members could decide on their own who they wanted to endorse.
Oh, okay. All right. That sounds good. Okay. Oh, we got 2 more minutes. If the meeting started, you getting static, Henry? Are you hearing?
Yeah, I hear you.
Can you hear them? I can't hear what.
No, nobody said nothing.
Seemed like I heard Don say something. Because I was been getting static. If don't nothing jump off, I'll go and do the meeting by phone.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know if Don is on or not. I think Robert
I don't believe he is. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yeah, we got
I can,
you.
yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you all for joining us. We'll be beginning shortly.
Okay.
How you doing, Cynthia?
I'm good, thank you.
That's good.
Who is that, Ray?
Yeah.
How you doing, sister? Did you have a birthday? I had a birthday. Did you have a birthday too?
Yeah, we all did in September. Is this September? No, this October. Yeah, we had one in September.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Hey, Don.
Hey,
How you doing? Long time
I'm
no
good.
see.
I'm good. How are you?
Good. He said I had to take my camera off to say hi to you.
Been a little while.
I know.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll leave it off now.
All right, time to get started, you guys. Let's
Okay.
start the agenda. Let's see. Let me see. Where is that at? So we got. Looks like we got a quorum.
Okay. Who all do you have? Henry,
Got Henry, Annie,
uh-huh,
Beverly.
Belle, and you.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And
Did I
so-
miss it? Did I miss anybody that's here that I didn't get? But we do have a quorum. There's my agenda. Let me see here. Let's see. Okay, I'm gonna call the meeting to order, and
Okay.
we'll have open forum. Anybody who would like to speak, please go ahead.
Wait, are we
Okay.
going to approve the amendments in the agenda?
Oh yeah, see, I'm not looking at the agenda. So will everybody? Well, can I have a motion to approve the agenda?
I have a question. Wait a minute. Did you hear me, Don?
You have a question? Yep.
Yes, I have a question. May I proceed, Mr.
Yes.
Chair?
Yes.
Okay, as far as the agenda, the minutes. You said the minutes and the agenda, is that correct?
I said the agenda, but I can do the minutes and.
Oh,
the
no, well, I'm sorry. No, let's do it. No, let me rescind. Take it back. Go ahead.
Okay, so can I have a motion to approve the agenda?
Okay, Mr. Chair,
Yep.
Beverly, go ahead, Beverly, she's first.
No, go ahead, Annie.
Okay, Mr. Chair, I would like to accept this agenda for tonight, October the 2nd, to be our working agenda.
Okay, is there a second?
I second the motion.
All right, all in favor, I know you by saying aye.
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 Opposed, abstentions, carries. And now we will have, we're entertaining a motion for the minutes.
Okay, Mr. Chair, this is why I have a question.
Go ahead.
As far as the minutes, I would like to say for us to have a portion of the minutes to be put on our calendar for our next meeting, and that is to continue with the logo that is mentioned, the information that is mentioned, and the comments from our recorder.
So are you saying that the
I would
minutes
like
are
that
not, are you saying that
Right.
the minutes are not accurate? They don't
Well,
reflect what
it
was
is
happening?
accurate, but I think it needs a little bit more discussion.
Okay, so we can do that
Okay.
subsequently. But if the
Right.
minutes are okay as stands now, then we can entertain a motion for approval. And we can
Okay.
bring that up, yeah. We
Okay.
can bring that up later.
Okay, please do.
Okay.
Okay.
Is there a motion for approve the minutes as we have them?
I move that we approve of the minutes as recorded.
Is there a second? Is there a second? I think
Give up at one
Beverly
time.
wasn't here, so that's why she might not be saying anything. Annie, can you second that?
Oh, yes, I'm sorry, I was just doing I had a call come in. Yes, I second it.
Okay, all in favor, I know you by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, it carries. Okay, so now we're gonna move into the public comments. Folks will have 3 minutes. Anybody willing
Okay.
wants to speak?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead, Annie.
Okay, thank you. On this particular item, I would just like to more or less put it out into the community that is there, that are we scheduled for a Mr. Spears cleanup for this month? Anybody can answer that at this point. Is it Mr. Spears cleanup? Is it Spears cleanup at any time? Hearing none?
No, we're having this is Felisa, we're having a community cleanup on the 24th.
Okay. And is that in conjunction with Spears, Mr. Spears cleanup? Is that derived from the originated of Spears cleanup?
I'm not, this one is not named Willie Spears, but I know that in the past there has been some named, but not this one.
So Annie, why don't we do this? Because there's going to be
Okay, so we can,
presentation,
okay,
and we can bring that up when she gives her presentation about the cleanup.
perfect. Okay, perfect. Thank you.
All right. Any other public comments?
Hi, Don. This is Tony. Can I make an announcement?
Sure. Go ahead, Tony.
Okay. So, hi, everybody. I'm with the Housing Authority of Contra Costa County, and we will be opening up the wait list for the senior building at the new Terraces apartment at 2300 Nevin Avenue in Richmond. And that's going to be from November 2nd until November 5th. It'll start at 10 a.m. on the 2nd, and it'll end at 4 p.m. on the 5th. It'll go 24 hours a day up until then. You know, we've exhausted the wait list for the 3 and 4 bedroom units at the Terraces. So we're really encouraging households that have a head of household or the spouse who's 62 years of age or older to apply. That especially with extended families where they may qualify for a 3 or 4 bedroom. The wait list for the studio up through the 4 bedrooms is going to be open, but we're really hoping to build up the wait list for the 3 and 4 bedroom units. So, you know, we'll be sending out flyers, and we'll be sending out email blasts to our community partners. I gave Robert a couple of flyers, one in English and one in Spanish. Maybe he can post it in the chat room for everybody. And mainly just get the word out to the seniors out in the community that they may want to be looking at submitting an application for this. The applications will all be done online in our application portal. And you basically go to the Housing Authority website and click to apply when the date comes. Right now, it'll just be a dead link. So wait till 10 a.m. on November 2nd, and then you'll be able to do so. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Tony. Any other
Okay,
public
so
comments?
this is Cynthia. I would just like to come in behind Tony. As you know, I'm on the Residents Advisory Board for the Contra Costa County Housing Authority, and we haven't met since maybe the end of last year. So we're going to start back up meeting by way of Zoom this week. So that'll be a good thing.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. Any other public comment?
Yes, and I do.
Okay, go ahead. Annie, you were
Okay.
first. Princess, then you come next, please.
Well, Princess Kim, you can make me laugh before we close out.
Not sure
Okay.
if we're closing out, but go ahead.
Okay, I just wanted to say hi, y'all, and glad to be back at the MAC. I still am affiliated with Urban Tilth, but now I'm a project manager for Cooperation Richmond, and we help residents open, launch, and develop cooperative businesses in Richmond. So yeah, I just wanted to say, hey, y'all, it's been a long time, and I'm glad to be back at the MAC.
Good to see you, Princess.
Yeah,
Go
very
ahead,
good.
go ahead, Annie.
Okay. Well, good evening. This is just a PSA, a public announcement for everybody to know that I am running for the seat for the West County Wastewater District. And I don't have to go into all my qualifications because I am well qualified. But if you were to look at the booklet that came out, you will see my statement and my experience. And the boards that I have served as president and as vice president for CHDC, and we have made many changes in this community. My experience also follows from working in Santa Clara with Raytheon. I don't have to tell you the title of what it is, but it was very prestigious. And from that, I have the experience from following through, working tirelessly, and as a team member. So with that, I just want to let you know that I am on the ballot for November the 3rd, 2020 for District 2. Thank you.
All right. Any other announcements? Any other public comments? If not, we're going to move on to the law enforcement reports. We'll start with the County Sheriff Department.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. Good evening. I hope you everyone's had a wonderful day. Be kind of brief here. So for the month of September, you guys had 88 calls for service, less than August. You guys had only 273 calls for service versus last month, the month before, which was 361. With that said, we served about 8 warrants, towed about 8 vehicles, only had two calls that actually came in regarding people firing off firearms, and actually no assault with any deadly weapons last month. As far as the boat that I talked to that's supposedly back there on Alamo and Battery, I had a deputy go back there and take a look at it, so it's tagged. Hopefully we can get it out of there soon. As far as tomorrow's event, we will have our mitigation deputy down there along with some other deputies and CSOs. Hopefully they'll be doing some towing and tagging some vehicles also. And I don't know if before anyone asked, today was a huge law enforcement presence in North Richmond around 4th and Silver. We actually had nothing to do with the residents of actually North Richmond per se. The event was something that happened in El Cerrito. It's just that they located possible suspects in North Richmond and asked for assistance pretty heavily to make sure that we didn't lose these individuals. But it was nothing violent that happened in North Richmond today as a result of the large police presence. And with that, does I have any questions for me? Starting with the board, obviously.
Any questions from the board?
Yeah, this is Dr. Clark. I have one.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. So did I understand you say that the incident number of calls that you received from North Richmond were just some routine calls, or?
Yes, sir. Most of them are actually routine calls. Nothing's out of the ordinary that would make us look at North Richmond with, with a wide open eye. Not at all, sir. Not for the month of September. No.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions, comments? Thank you so much. Appreciate your report. We're going to move now to Richmond PD. Is there anybody from Richmond PD?
Hi, Don. Can I say something before they get on?
Yes, please.
This is the Shields Reed Neighborhood Council. We're joining the MAC meeting if we can, since we are in the coronavirus era, until we start back having our physical meetings, if that's okay with you guys. And we told Stephanie that we would sit in on the presentation for Shields Reed tonight. Is that okay?
That's fine.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Yes. Okay. Is Richmond PD here? I thought I see them, but it looks like they're upside down, but I'm not sure. Can't hear.
He's waving.
I see.
Can you hear me now?
Robert?
Yeah, can hear you now. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, our computers get mounted upside down in our cars because of the connection. So I apologize, I'm upside down, and I have no idea why there's that big white thing in the corner of the screen.
Okay.
I'm Officer Kaiser, and I'll be doing the report tonight. Things have been picking up in Richmond. Nothing really affecting the northern up there. It's mostly been central and the south side, but during the month of August and September, we've had 7 homicides. We've had multiple shootings where people got wounded. We've had carjackings have gone up as of recent in the last couple of weeks, and that's an indicator that there's possibly more violent crime to come. stolen vehicles has gone up. But nothing real significant, I don't believe. I don't see it in our stats up in the north area. Just as the sheriff was saying, just routine calls up there, just the normal calls. Nothing's been real significant up there.
Thank you. Questions, board members?
Yeah, this is Dr. Clark.
Yes, sir.
Thanks a lot for the report, but you know, the thing is that I hear what you're saying, but what I think that you have to be aware of is that until any final determination is made on the crimes that you report on in Central, in the other area, it have been my experience over the period of years that a lot of the incidents that happen in Central and other areas there involve people from North Richmond in many cases. So with that in mind, as you
Sir? Hey, Dr.
yeah.
Clark, let me interject with that. So even though I'm reporting in North Richmond, what's going on in North Richmond, as you know, that we have a lot of North Richmond residents that has moved into the Rodeo area. Now speaking for that, I'm not speaking, I don't want to really get into that tonight, but I will say that the incidents up in that area are up. And we do believe that that is a significant tie from the Central South North Richmond connection, but it's not happening in the North area as RPD has just indicated.
Okay, yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. That's my point. I understand that. But in terms of knowing that particular point, I'm concerned that the incidents don't find their way back to North Richmond per se.
I understand, sir.
Yeah, that's
that is correct. And also, to caveat that, we have put in, we have pulled guys and girls from teams, and we have made a little task force that's out there doing a ton of extra patrols. They've gotten multiple guns off the street over the weekend. Sunday, matter of fact, they got 2 assault rifles off the street over here. And so that's been going well, and we're working close with the sheriff's department. Their task forces and ours are all working together and hoping to keep this to a minimum.
Yeah, well, just keep us posted.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions from the board or general? Nope. Go ahead.
Who is that speaking? Me?
Yeah, that was you.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I had an interruption, a phone call. But anyway, I just read Marina's text about the large gatherings at Shields and Reed. And that's my concern also. I had sent Robert email, but like he said, that would be up to the law enforcement with the city of Richmond. But like I told Robert in my email, ever since Corona came out and the mandatory wearing of face masks, there's continuously large gatherings at Shields and Reed. Number one, the guys from the motorcycle club and stragglers, they gather at the park every day and get high and drink and kick it. But number two, I know since Corona came out, at least 5 planned birthday celebrations at the park. Celebration plus the serving of food, gathering the whole 9 yards. And I think that needs to be controlled because they're just out there and they're having large gatherings and it seems like nobody is saying anything about it.
Okay, I'll forward that concern to our lieutenant and let him know.
Yes.
Thank you for letting us know.
Uh-huh.
Okay, is there any other questions, comments? If not, we're going to move to the Highway Patrol. Is anybody here from the Highway Patrol? Thank you for your presentation.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Okay, doesn't seem like there's anybody here from Highway Patrol. We will move on to local announcements, and I'll start with Healthy Richmond. Anybody here from Healthy Richmond?
Yeah, Carlos is here. I saw Leticia on mute. I don't know if she was just joining us. Okay.
I'm just joining.
Oh,
Sorry.
okay. Okay, just making sure. Okay, so lately we've been focused on the census as a final push when the deadline was September 30th, but that got pushed back as of last week to October 31st. And so we're going to spend the next month doing phone calls, some tabling events, trying to get people to fill out the census because areas like North Richmond, Central Richmond, and San Pablo still have low response rates. And then we've been also attending the county's different meetings as far as outreach and COVID-19 data and their efforts to slow down those increases, especially in certain areas like San Pablo, where they're still seeing an increase, especially with like the Latino population. And then with the Las Deltas, still having communications with the Housing Authority and just trying to talk to the supervisor, John Joya, to make sure there's just a fair process and engaging residents and seeing what that would look like under COVID-19. And then we did mention a survey that we wanted to launch in the last meeting, but we had to tweak some stuff around and push our timeline back. And we also want to have listening sessions. And I know the city of Richmond, their Department of Children and Youth are also doing something very similar. And so we wanted to allow that to roll out. So I think they have a survey still for youth still up there if anybody in the city of Richmond wants to confirm that. And then there's also the Shields Reed Park survey due October 11th, and we're in communication with them as they want to apply for grants for the park. And then lastly, there's an event by the Richmond Neighborhood Housing Services for the 203K FHA loan. This is a loan for residents who are interested in buying property, which is in very need of repairs, and they might not have the financial backings for those kind of repairs, and they're discouraged to buy. So tomorrow is the English one, and then the 14th is for Spanish. And if there is anyone here interested, I'll say it in Spanish, pero el 14 de octubre va a haber un evento del Richmond Neighborhood Housing Services. Se trata de aprender más de un préstamo para hacer reparaciones de propiedades de que uno quiere comprar, pero no tiene el dinero para poder reparar esas propiedades. So, por favor, regístrase. I'll send over the info to Robert Rogers so he can send it out to people. But tomorrow, again, is in English. So please reach out to residents who might be interested in buying some property that is in need of repairs and would like to learn more about financial opportunities for that. I think that, yeah, so I'll leave it there. If there's any question, I'll be happy to answer.
Carlos, you say you're working with the Richmond Housing Services?
Yeah, so this was part of the quality of life plan proposal from last year. It was just the need for workshops and education for ordinary residents to learn about financial alternatives that can help for purchasing, especially with potential buying opportunities for sites like in Las Deltas, scatter sites. So they're the one hosting it, and they're bringing in 2 guest speakers to speak on it.
Uh-huh.
So Carlos, this is Dr. Clark. So where is this workshop being held at?
Virtually on Zoom. So you register and then you get the link and then you hop in from your computer or your phone.
Let me just clarify. Let me clarify real quick. So,
okay.
The Los Deltas homes are not for sale right now.
Right.
This would be only folks getting themselves in a position to be able to buy, not only if Los Deltas came available, but any other home, which CHDC has the same programs as well. But it's basically just to get folks indoctrinated into being able to become a home buyer and what they need to do.
So
Okay,
Don,
excuse
can
me,
I have a
Don.
question?
Oh, go ahead.
Yes.
So are these two organizations working together to make these homeowner opportunities? Is
No,
this a
no, no.
collaboration?
No, Healthy Richmond has not linked up with CHDC. They've linked up with Richmond Neighborhood Housing Services, and that they do the same type of services that CHDC does.
But they're targeting North Richmond for Los Deltas?
Well, well, like I said, I think he acknowledged the correction. He's basically saying for folks who are interested in buying homes in general.
Oh, okay.
If he accepts that correction.
Right,
Okay.
and in the long future, if and when those properties are available, we don't know what's exactly going to happen just yet. It's still in the process of being decided, right? So it's just a loan to help properties like those once they are up for sale. But yes, they're not for sale just yet.
Okay, so Don,
Yes.
Dr. Clark, so you said that CHDC have a similar type of program?
Yeah, we've always maintained a program for not only just for the ones that he's talking about, but we have down payment assistance programs to help people get down payment assistance to get into homes, as well as, you know, getting the home buyer education and already financial capabilities. So we, you know, we're full service. You know, we still have all our full services that we had before.
Okay, so would your programs apply to possible housing availability in North Richmond specifically?
We have always and will continue to do that. So, you know, we still work through the county. We were involved in their neighborhood stabilization program where we did homes for first-time home buyers, and both in the city and in the county of North Richmond. And we continue to do those type of programs. Yeah, we're still maintaining what we do in our operations.
Okay, thanks.
So Don, Henry asked, does CHD pertain to North Richmond only? Are you working outside of North Richmond?
We're working in primarily Vallejo, North Richmond, Richmond, you know, the greater Contra Costa County, and in Alameda County, Oakland specifically as well.
Oh, so you're out there, you're East Bay.
Correct.
Bay Area. Okay,
Correct.
you're there. Okay.
But our focus still is North Richmond. Okay, so let's move on to the next report. If there's no more questions for Healthy Richmond, Robert Rogers.
Yes, thank you very much, Don, and thanks everybody for being here for this great MAC meeting tonight. We have a good turnout, and it's an important time. I have 3 quick items I'd like to share with you. Number 1, it's Clean Air Day, California tomorrow. Supervisor Joya and I have been working very hard to try to get more and more people involved. We've posted the link in the chat, and I hope that you'll all take a quick click on it and then pledge for Clean Air Day. The idea is that on that day, that's tomorrow, we will try to do something, no matter how small, to reduce emissions, to protect our air. And as we teach more people and get more people excited about clean air, through millions of small actions, our air can be better in California. So please give that a shot and become part of that team. Also, tomorrow night, we have a very special presentation of North Richmond's African-American historical experience. This production has been put together by the great Doug Harris, award-winning filmmaker, and many others are involved. He's gathered up academics and people who've grown up in the neighborhood and so forth. Supervisor Joya and I will participate as well, of course. It's going to be on Zoom tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Please give that a shot. Please take a look at it. I know that it's toward the end of tomorrow night's vice presidential debate. Perhaps you can record that or record this. We will record this event to keep sharing it. But the bottom line is a historical presentation for free. Richmond Museum is also a big partner, and it's tomorrow night at 7 p.m. and it promises not to disappoint. It'll be, when you talk about the history of North Richmond, you can't help but be happy and excited. It's really going to be interesting, and Doug has put together a lot of foremost experts. Lastly, tomorrow, as part of Clean Air Day, our own local nonprofit, Men and Women of Valor, are going to be hosting an event. Supervisor Joya's office helped to disperse mini grants to participate in this, and so we supported Men and Women of Valor to do that. And it's going to be there tomorrow between 11 and 3. So come on out, plant a tree, be part of it. And they're also going to give out free produce and food for people who need it. So it'll be a good, positive activity. And that'll conclude my report, and thanks again.
All right,
Yeah,
any questions for Robert? Go ahead.
Yeah, this is Dr. Clark. Yeah, thank you very much, Robert. Yeah, I'm looking forward to both of those programs. I just wanted to note that Don Gilmore is on the program as well as myself tomorrow, and Gina Burke and a lot of other people. So it should be really interesting to hear about what is happening in North Richmond, especially give a focus on some things coming up in the future. Also, since Robert mentioned tomorrow is Clean Air Day, which I wasn't aware of that, but know that the Bay Area District has me on the agenda, if you're aware of that, Robert, that to present a resolution recognizing my years of working with the Air District around clean air. So thanks for reminding me tomorrow's Clean Air Day.
Okay. Any other comments, questions for Robert?
I would just like to recommend watching the North Richmond exhibit. I've been looking at the previews and reading the things, and even though I grew up in North Richmond, I'm seeing things that I didn't even know about and learning things about the town that I just come to a realization about quite a few things just by looking at the preview.
Yeah, I mean, I'll add to that. It's an excellent documentary. Just very, it takes you back in time to, review history. You see a little bit of things that, landmarks that were at different places that you can still see, where they were, the resemblance of them, and just a different time. And it's good to be able to remember and honor your history. And I think this does a real good job of it. So it's really good to participate in it. Look forward to everybody that can make it to be there, but at least review the documentary that will be recorded. So
right. And then another good thing about by the previews, you're seeing faces of people that's deceased, but meant a lot to the community. So you're seeing these people's faces, like I said, oh, there go Miss Shirley, there go Mr. Wooten. It's a pleasure to see those memories, those people.
Yeah. Okay.
So Don, I have a comment, please, just
Yes.
for Robert. Robert, you did mention that due to the time conflict with Vice President, the report that's going to take tomorrow at 6 o'clock, that you will be able to review that again during a period of time. People could get on Zoom and see the documentary of Doug's.
Yes, we will record the whole program and we'll be sharing it consistently for the weeks to come.
Very good. Okay, very good.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so I'll start with CHDC's report. Clean Air Day, CHDC will be being part of that. As you know, we have our transportation program where we have down payment assistance for electric and hybrid vehicles to support folks in being able to acquire them. So we'll be promoting that and making the pledge for clean air. We also were successful in getting some funds to help start us leveraging for the grocery store that'll be on the corner by Heritage Point. And we hope to complete our market study before the end of the year and be able to do some form of a request for qualifications. We've been entertaining a lot of different ideas from the community and different people who are interested in it. So we'll be updating the MAC on a regular basis on that process going forward. And when we're able to figure we have the funds to start construction. The resource center that's going to be on the street level of Heritage Point, we received the funding to do the improvements there. And we will be putting together a program that will identify not only job opportunities from folks who pledge to do jobs in the community. We plan to hold their feet to the fire and get some interaction on fulfilling those commitments that they said they were going to do. As you know, we don't have any reports back on what they said they were going to do and what we have done. So we hope to be able to hold folks accountable this, and we'll put together some type of task force or advisory committee to help work through that, as well as bringing other, exposing folks to opportunities and other type of skills in the community. So we don't have it all together yet, but we are working on a plan, and we'll present that to the MAC as we, we identify the different services that are going to be there. Other than that, Legacy Court, we're still moving through the process. That's in Richmond proper, and it's the parcels that go from, I guess, DuBose to Alamo, and there's 3 different blocks of where different stores were at a different time. And so we're moving closer to getting funding for that. So that process will take a little time. I think that we did talk about the Los Deltas thing. I think that we can have Tony talk about that at another time. I know there's a process involved where we are with that. And so I know they're still waiting on HUD to do different things that they need to do. So we can ask them at another time to come to, unless Tony wants to make a brief statement. I think they're still processing that or waiting on HUD. But I'll let Tony speak for that. Other than that, that's all I have right now. Any questions?
Well, Don, do you want me to give you guys a briefing?
Just, can clear the air a little bit.
All right. So sorry about that. So we are at a point now where we're working with the attorneys to figure out exactly what the next step is, not only to start issuing an RFP for the main campus to get developers interested in actually submitting proposals and developing the entire 12 acres that's there. We're also, I think, in the final stages of working out the details on the sale of the scattered sites. And I think, it's still to be determined. There's still some discussions going on, but there's, a certain percentage of the units will be set aside for below market sales. And the rest of them would be at fair market value. HUD's always trying to push us to sell at fair market value, but we recognize that there's a significant interest in the community to buy these. One of the challenges in buying these is all the units are completely demolished. People have broken into them. They've ripped out the pipes. They've ripped out the wiring. They've holes in roofs. Depends on which units. Some of them are in worse shape than others. So it's not just a matter of acquiring, but it's also a matter of rehabbing the unit. But we think that, ultimately, as Carlos mentioned, working out some financing, some creative financing strategies that allow people to not only buy them, but also figure out a strategy to rehab the units, and maybe with the help of some foundation money, kind of get that ball rolling. We believe that ultimately it's 42 buildings. There are 38 duplexes and 4 single-family dwellings. Once they do go to market, we think there's going to be a pretty brisk interest in them. I think there's been about a list of about 35, 40 people that have approached us and said they were interested in buying a unit here or there. So we'll reach out to the community. We'll reach out to all of you. We'll let everybody know when the time comes. You won't pick up the newspaper one day and find out that they're selling the units. The word will get out before we actually start marketing them, to make sure that everybody is aware of what's going on.
Okay, thank you, Tony. We're gonna keep moving. We got a lot.
I have a question for Tony, Don.
Okay.
Hello, Tony.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you can send it finally in. Do you have a projected timeline as to when we will see some redevelopment happening?
On the redevelopment side, it's going to take some time. Not only does the RFP have to be issued, but then it's going to be probably about a 60-day application period. And then from there, all we're really going to be doing is entering into an exclusive negotiating agreement with somebody. Ideally, somebody that has their financing already lined up to start turning shovels would be the best case scenario, but it's not often the case that nonprofit developers approach a project like that. They'll usually have to go apply for tax credits. They'll have to apply for other state funding. And so it becomes a cocktail of different sources of funding. And for example, on Heritage Point, this is 8 years in the making from until we actually got to the point where we could turn shovels. And I'm hoping that it's not that long in this process, but it gives you an idea of just how long this stuff takes. We believe that the RFP will hit the road probably in the early part of 2021, and then we'll go from there.
Okay, thank you, Tony. We're going to move on to Alicia for CACC mitigation.
Good evening, everyone. Hope everyone is doing well. As we were speaking earlier, the next community cleanup is scheduled for Saturday, October 24th. So we've already had our ambassadors and lots of folks helping with the distribution of flyers and getting the word out there. Also, tomorrow we will be having our first task patrol street sweep since COVID-19, which was put on hold for some time. But we're excited. I'm excited as this will be the first one I'll participate in. So we'll have all the stakeholder agencies participating, and we'll be able to report out the results of that event. Also, continue on a daily basis to patrol the streets of North Richmond, and daily I'm taking in calls and emails about concerns from the community and addressing those as needed. And that's it.
Okay, any questions? I know Annie had some, but is there any questions in general?
Yes, I may have one also.
Yes, I have a question too.
Okay, so as far as the cleanup, Alicia, I had stepped away for a moment.
Sure.
But did you mention anything about the cleanup that is going to be taking place at the end of this month?
Yeah.
Correct. October 24th, Saturday, October 24th.
But my thing is, are you aware if there are any cleanups that are scheduled for this year, the end of this year, as to be Spears, under Mr. Spears' name at all?
Yes, that's a good question.
That's my question. Are you aware of that?
Before the end of this year, at this time, there is no cleanups that were specifically titled Willie Spears. But this is the first of a couple for this next fiscal year, mitigation fiscal year. So you know.
Okay.
So why don't we do this, because I don't think Felicia is aware of the history. And so why don't we do this? Because I think Robert is working with the MAC as well, and so there seemed to be a loss of carryover to that. Was there any formal action taken by the MAC, Robert, in regard to not using the Willie Spears name?
He's on mute.
Oh, you're on mute, Robert. Yeah.
Not to my knowledge.
Okay, so the question is, how did it get lost in administratively? So if there was no official action taken to remove it, then it must be still a part of it. It's just got lost in the shuffle. I don't know if any of the mitigation committee folks want to talk to that, because I think that's where it needs to come up at. We can as a MAC, as a body, we could show that we want that to be acknowledged as it was before, and if it was just actually a mistake that happened, we would like for it to be reinstated into the mitigation operations, acknowledging the history of how this event actually came to fruition.
Right. I'm sorry, Don. That's one of the things I was looking for answers from the MAC, since it really started from the MAC. And I'm going to bring it to the mitigation because I am on the mitigation, Dr. Clark and myself. And also Marina is an alternative, is one of the alternative members. But I am going to bring it over, and I just wanted, if it had been changed through the cleanup without anyone knowing, the community knowing, they just wanted to drop Mr. Spears' name, I wanted to do the history on how it started. And I will be bringing it up in the mitigation about it for it to be reinstated, because he was the originator of this, and it started from the MAC because he was public works. His assignment with the MAC was public works, and he wanted to clean up the community. And from that, he originated that. And as I co-founded with him, we wrote out a plan how it to be done. And it went on for 3 years with Ray, which was Supervisor Joya's chief of staff at the time. So I just want you to know, if it needs, a history background, I'll be more than welcome to expound on that. But right now, I
think it should be. I think that is appropriate for the MAC to obviously. This was out of the MAC's control, except for the members that we have on the committee. So we implore the committee members to make that fact known to that committee, that they need to basically acknowledge the history of that in some form or fashion. So I think that's where it should be carried. I think the MAC, and I don't think, unless somebody tells me different, we endorse that. And we want that to happen. It didn't happen under our operations. It happened under the mitigation operations.
Dr. Clark, Jesse Slocum, and everybody else that was there, they were the ones that everybody had assignments. And
can I say something? Yes. On that, to follow that, it would be nice if that was actually something that was totally implied to the North Richmond community, because it was under Mr. Spears, that this whole entire North Richmond be cleaned up on a regular basis. Like we have Love Your Block, we have North Richmond Green. There's too many entities for North Richmond to look like it does. I mean, it looks like a miniature overpouring on these streets. This should not look like this. We have too many contracted organizations that's supposed to be taking care of this trash. There's too much trash in North Richmond.
When is the next mitigation committee meeting?
It is the 16th. It is October the 16th. Robert, is that correct? At 2 o'clock? Dr. Clark?
Well, I implore you to make your comments there. We definitely have support. Definitely have support from the MAC, but that's where it needs to happen, right at the mitigation committee.
Thank you. I will do so.
Yeah. Okay. Marina, did you have anything else that you wanted to?
No, just that would be great, and I'll make sure I have some comments for the mitigation because this needs to be addressed because this is like a plague of disease when you have all this trash because it causes all types of rodents, all types of fleas, ticks, and what have you. We need to clean it up. But I'll take it to the mitigation. Thank you. Thank you, Dan.
Thank you. And that's, what time is that on October 16th? And is it a Zoom meeting or what is it?
Well, it's to be determined from my understanding, Robert, but it says it's normally 2 o'clock, 2 to 4, but it has to be confirmed. Correct, Robert?
Is it a Zoom meeting or is it a meeting in present?
No, it's Zoom. It's a Zoom meeting.
All right. So Robert will get that info, logistics out on that to folks. And Robert, could you send it to everybody so if anybody on this call, on this meeting wants to go, they can?
Yes.
Thank you.
And I would just like to put my 2 cents in what Marina said. North Richmond, it looks toe up. I mean, like a ghetto for sure. As much money is being put into North Richmond looks so bad till it's pitiful.
Well, yeah, that's where you should make them known. And I think that, you know, those spots and those things, we have to work together to address them. And if it's not happening right, then let's figure it out. But that's where all the resources are at the mitigation committee to combat that. The MAC doesn't have those resources. We have the will, the commitment to do it, but it has to happen to get those resources deployed in a way that it's going to make a difference. And that's at the committee, at the mitigation committee. Right. So let's really enforce that at the meeting.
You have a hand.
Sure, Tisha.
Yeah. Hello. Yes, I just have a question about the trash because I just was coming home like around 5:10, and what I noticed is, I don't know if any of you, but on Pittsburgh and Fred Jackson, people is taking that spot too as a dumping place. It's a lot of trash in there, and I just saw a lady in another van on that. They making a line to drop the trash there. Is there anything or somebody that can do something about it?
So everybody knows that you're supposed to report that to Felicia, right? You're supposed to let her know whenever you see something. That's one thing. There is a system to it, but you know, we need to reinforce that and make sure we're following up. But it starts with, I mean, they go out and do patrols, but they don't see everything. So a lot of folks have called into Felicia and Janie and basically have advised her of those spots. Sometimes it takes a little longer than others to get the coordination done, but they do work together to address it. But it's really important that when you see it, you call it in.
I'll do that right now. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Felicia, did you give them the number? Would you?
Yes, I went ahead and provided it to everybody on the chat. Yes.
Great, thank you. Okay, so we're going to move on to Reach Fellowship. Is anybody from Reach here?
No, but if may I have a comment, please? One of the things done, if I may, and I don't know, Robert, if you can, when you do check.
Let me just say, if anybody's not speaking, can you put yourself on mute? Because we're getting a lot of feedback. So if you're not speaking, please put yourself on mute.
I was asked to also ask you, Robert, and this is, if I may, Mr. Chair, Robert, if you could check for Reach Fellowship, if you have an email for them, the same as you did for the Richmond PD. If you have an email, somehow their email got lost and they don't get a chance to actually come on the Zoom either.
Yes, Reach has always been invited to these meetings.
Okay, on Zoom, with the Zoom?
Yes.
Okay, I'll just tell them to check it. Okay, thank you.
Did you talk?
Anybody from Urban Tilt? Hearing none. I'm going to move to presentations, and the first presentation is from Stephanie Nye with the City of Richmond, Shields Reed Park Improvements.
Hello, everyone. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
I'm going to share my screen for the presentation.
Okay, we got you, Stephanie.
Got it? Okay, great. So good evening, everyone. And thank you so much for your time this evening. My name is Stephanie Nye, and I'm with the City of Richmond Community Services Department and Love Your Block program. This evening, I'm joined by Janae Levine-Snipes, Greg Hardesty, Jesse Jones, and Sarah Gronquist to talk to you about a proposal to redesign Shields Reed Park in North Richmond. We're looking to build a proposal that is reflective of the community's vision, and today we will be asking you to vote on some options and also provide some open-ended feedback on park amenities and on safety that can be improved at the park through the grant we are applying for. So before we start, I'm gonna show you the potential area of improvement. So on your screen, you can see this, this blue dotted line, and that's the southeast section of the park bordering Alamo and Cherry. And this is the entire area for improvement, potential improvement. So a little bit of history of how all this came together. Back in 2014, a community-based master plan was prepared by PlaceWorks. And as a result of that, the baseball and athletic fields were renovated, and there was also a new structure play structure installed near Kelsey Street. But there were also elements of the master plan that were not completed. And so earlier this year in March 2020, there was a grant funding opportunity to make improvements at Shields Reed Park. And so city staff worked with Urban Till, Supervisor Joya's office, Shields Reed Community Center staff, and a volunteer landscape architect to review the park area and as well as the old master plan, and create a list of amenities that would fit into the park. And those amenities that we identified that could fit into the current sections of the park included walking paths, habitat garden, community garden, bike pump track and nature play, picnic areas and game tables, children's play areas, and fitness zones. And so from that, we created an online bilingual survey for participants to rank their favorite amenities of these that were created. Due to COVID, the survey was administered exclusively online. This was, I think, in about April. We received 56 responses, and of the 56, there were 43 who identified as either North Richmond residents, Shields Reed Park users, or both. Because of the grant funding limitations at the time, we only applied for the top 3 amenities chosen by the survey respondents. And you can see the results right here on the screen. The top 3 were children's play areas, picnic areas and game tables, fitness, and the fitness zone. And then we added in public art as well. However, in July, we were informed that we did not receive the grant funding, but another funding opportunity has arose that could cover millions of dollars of renovations at the park, which leads us to today. So I'm gonna have Janae take the presentation off from here.
Okay, hello everyone, or good evening. My name is Janae Levine-Snipes with the City of Richmond. So working with the community to apply for the grant funds that are available. The Proposition 68 grant funds are available. You can apply for up to $8 million to do renovations to a park. So we've done that in the past. There have been 2 parks that were recently awarded in the round 3. This is the final round, round 4. So we want to try to make sure we get the funds into the city and do a park that the city really wants to do, or the community really wants to do. So based on the information that Stephanie already did and that PlaceWorks did before in the previous renovations and in the application in the earlier this year, we did a sidewalk meeting, which was a survey using, for the main part, the type of features, recreation features that the community wanted. So we looked at was the skate park, the habitat garden, picnic tables, fitness zone, and the children's play area. And we created stickers, if you go to the next one. created stickers so that the community, when it came out to the table on, it was September 29th, they came out to the tables and they placed the stickers where they wanted them on the actual piece of paper. So we had a piece of paper and they placed the stickers there. They said if they wanted the stickers there, or if they wanted a type of feature there, or if they didn't. And then they also put down comments based on what type of changes they want or what type of changes they don't want. So if we can go to the next one. So here are some of their comments. So we had about 25 people make comments. So that was good. It was a good turnout. We were there from 10 to 1. We had about 25 comments, and that's really good for the application because we need to, it's a priority to have an in-person type of meeting where the community is actually on site saying this is what they want to change in the park. So there were a lot of people said they want to have different art in the community. Someone said they want a water feature. A lot of people talked about having less trash and getting rid of the gambling and drinking. So the type of activity that may discourage a lot of park activity. Someone mentioned handball court, tennis, and racquetball. A lot of people were talking about it being more kid-friendly. That kind of goes back to the rid of gambling and drinking. And then a clean park, again, was the trash. And chess and checkers tables for playing, because I believe that a lot of people like already going out there and making their own tables to do that. And then having more shade equipment. That was a big response too. So if we can move to the next one. Okay, so there are different amenities that can be considered. So a large community stage, these are things, the other comments that people said. That maybe we did not think of, that didn't come out in the first one when they did it in March this year or earlier this year. So thinking about a community stage for performances, having a lawn grass or picnic and blankets. A lot of people wanted to have shade or some type of oasis, some type of natural environment. And a lot of people wanted to have art. Something that actually shows the history or something that you could say, this is our park. And again, more kid-friendly, tennis, racquetball, a bike skate park. We're trying to see if that's something that everyone still wants to have. Some people still do want to have it because I understand the kids really like having the type of bicycle activity. And zip line. So zip line is the thing you hold on to and zip across. And let's see, and again, the concerns are about cleanliness and maintenance. So those are the things, those are just some of the list of ideas everyone said. Really want to make sure that we get an open-ended type of thought process of what you guys want to do, because it's really about the community. It's really about what the community wants, and this is your time to put your input in, so we want to see what you think about it. So if you go to the next one. Okay, so we have the landscape architects here. They, based on all the comments that everyone said, from when they first did the survey earlier this year to the sidewalk survey that we did a couple of weeks ago, the landscape architects created a couple of layouts. So what we want you to do today is look at these layouts, because part of the process for the application is you need to determine not only what you want to have at the park, but where you want to have it. So we want to get a couple of things from you guys today. What you want to have, where you want to have it, and then so much of what you already want to do is beautification. So what type of art you want to look at, and what type of safety considerations you want. So now I'll let the landscape architects explain the layouts that they have. They have several layouts for you to look at.
Hi, this is Sarah Gronquist from PlaceWorks, and we're really happy to be helping out on this project. So we're going to show you the 3 layouts that were the most preferred from Saturday, and I'm just going to explain them really quickly. This first layout includes expanding this existing children's play area, sort of in the lower left-hand corner. That was a very popular option. A lot of people would like to see that play area just made larger and more equipment. So you'll see that in several of these options. This one also includes some really fun gateways, maybe art-oriented gateways that give you an entry to the park that gives it a lot of identity and maybe reflect some of these community identity things. You'll also see the bike pump track at the corner of Alamo and Cherry, and a fairly large fitness zone right across the path from that. We have also shown art elements scattered throughout the site, maybe some smaller pieces that help unify the park with whatever theme comes out of our design explorations. You can go on to the next slide. One of the things that was interesting that we had not included, community members suggested that we consider including a stage and performance area. So that wasn't one of our sticker choices, but it came up several times. So this option shows more of the park space given over to creating some kind of place where community performances or festival performances could happen in that lower left-hand corner. The bike pump track ends up being a little bit smaller as a result of that. And in this option, we're showing quite a bit of planting, some shade trees to buffer those two elements so that the noise and the active excitement of the bike pump track doesn't influence the attention of people at the stage and performance area. You can see, again, we've expanded the children's play area in a slightly different way. This option has more space for picnics and game tables and a little bit less space for art. Let's go on to the third. In this option, again, we have the bike pump track in the lower left-hand corner, but we've made it a little bit larger so that there's space to add these skate park elements that members of the community asked for. Again, this wasn't something that we had on our stickers, but it was a popular write-in element. This is the only layout that includes a community garden. The community garden was not something that was as popular as the children's play and the fitness zones and the shade and picnic areas, which were the most requested, but it is something that some people wanted. We have a larger picnic and games area that's combined with some shade structures. So in this option, instead of scattering picnic and games around the site, we could have a larger area that was maybe more suitable for family events or larger gatherings. There's a small habitat garden area in many of these, and that could be a butterfly garden or, you know, just some kind of flowering or California native plants or some tactile element that kids would be drawn to. And again, in this one, the art is scattered around the site as smaller pieces rather than a single large gateway or landmark element. So we were really happy with the three options that came out of the process. And I'm going to turn it back over to Janae and Stephanie.
Okay. So those are the three options they have. So we're not limited to those three options. So if we want to have an open discussion about what you guys think about each of these options. So we have 1, 2, and 3. What are the things you like about each one? What would you change about them? We want to get an idea, and then we'll take a vote because it's so important during the grant writing process to have, you know, something tangible to say what they what everyone's opinion is. But we really want to know what you guys think about these options and just have an open discussion about it and what you want to change.
Hello.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is Degina Burks. And the option that I prefer is option number 2 because it is the only option that offers a stage and performance area, considering the North Richmond Music Festival has been there for the last 10 years. And the only reason it wasn't there this year was because of the COVID-19. There are other events that happen out there that are music related, and I would like to see that stay as a place where people could come and enjoy music and performances.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
And the other thing that I was gonna say, that if you were gonna put the stage and performance area there, that I think it should be on the Chesley Street side of the park. That way you're not right up on top of people's homes. You have the street in between, which would handle the sound better. And maybe you put the bike track on the backside.
So just want to make sure. So could you, I don't know, Stephanie, if you could point to where she's maybe talking about having
I'm
the
talking
bike track?
about moving the blue area where the yellow area is, and the yellow, reconfiguring it, and the yellow be on the inside.
Okay.
Where the homes are, where people's homes face it. And then if you have an event, people can exit, if you set it up that way, on the Chesley Street side of that park. But I would not like to see all of that disappear, because it is a community event that people do enjoy. And I also represent the North and Greater Richmond Blues Foundation, and we are out there in North Richmond, and we will be doing things at that park as well in the future. So I would like to say that that is what I think the preference, at least it includes that piece right there.
Thank you.
Cynthia Jordan would like to say something.
Okay.
If there's a stage would be included, it would have to be a big enough stage to keep us from having to rent a stage or obtain a stage from somewhere else when we get ready to do the music festival. We require quite a large stage. So, you know, it wouldn't make sense to put a stage at the park, and then it wouldn't be useful to us when we get ready to do the festival. So it has to be a certain size. So did Gina know what size? And then the other part was, you mentioned something about water things.
Water feature.
And the water, what type of water features would you have? Like out here where I'm at, they got the little flowers with the water squirt out of them and stuff like that, you know, something simple like that. I don't know if you've seen that before.
Yeah, the water features, that was an idea someone said. It's not necessarily something that we have to do. I think that it also depends on maintenance also.
Yeah, well, something like that would be nice in order to come up to par with other parks in the county. Like I'm out here in Oakley, and we have some rather nice parks, but they're simple. Like I said, they have little flowers that, you know, go about 10 feet tall, and you can stand up underneath them, and, you know, water squirts down on you, stuff like that. And the trees, we need trees. Shields and Reed always had trees, and then they took all the trees out of the park. That some was disease infected or whatever, but they didn't bother to replace them.
Okay.
And I was told also, this is just like this is the park grounds, but you with the city of Richmond, I have a real concern about that skylight being so dirty, and it's such an eyesore, and it's a health issue also. But that's neither here nor there. But I just want to throw that in there. We'll throw that skylight in there. If you're going to make improvements, eventually you're going to have to get around to that skylight. The building has been improved. Now you're talking about doing the grounds. Then you're going to have to get to that skylight. In other words, it's just, you know, it's not, everything is not coinciding with it, you know, together, not coming together.
Okay.
And then, may I have your full name? I seen your name earlier, but I need to.
Oh, I'm sorry. My full name is Janae Levine Snipes.
Janae
Levine Snipes.
For me.
Let me do it.
Levine.
Here I go.
Oh, that's Stephanie's screen.
Okay.
Well,
Beverly had a comment. Go ahead.
Okay.
I just wanted to comment, if there is a stage that needs a power source, that would be nice.
Okay.
2, community gardens need upkeep, annual upkeep, and that can be expensive. And 3, are they going to put facilities in the park? We talked before about having bathrooms,
right,
and water fountains and night lighting.
Okay. There's no, okay.
Yeah, that's really important. The bathrooms outside. lighting.
And you also said water fountains.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay. Is there one that you is there anyone that you prefer? Like, so we're talking a lot about the stage, and I want to have all your comments. Is there anyone that you like in, so because number 2 is the one that has the stage.
I prefer 2 as well.
Okay.
This is Dr. Henry Clark, and I prefer the comments that Ms. Gina Burks and Cynthia made about the stage. I support that particular scenario, because not only do we have the North Richmond Music Festival there every year, you know that we have the 4th of July event usually there, and Earth Day, many events there that we just end up making a stage area.
Borrow stage.
So I definitely support that recommendation.
Okay.
Hi,
I have a.
this is Marina. I have my hand raised.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I like the idea of the design number 2 because I think entertainment is very important, especially in the public area where people could come and gather. But the community garden, I'm really not for the community garden being at Shields Reed because you have urban teal. So what would be the purpose of having a community garden at the Shields Reed Community Park? And also, you also have Birdie School Community Garden. So I'm just not in favor of the community garden so much as I would like to have the entertainment there, because that way you could have like the Faith Base could have an outside concert, like it was stated, the North Richmond Blues Festival, the North Richmond Earth Day. There are so many different other things that you could bring the community together that could be utilized with the entertainment setting versus the community garden. So I do like number 2.
Exactly.
Would you like to, so that is it, so you like so one idea was to move it over. And then would you like to have what about the children's play area and the fitness zones, or anything, other comments about like the art?
Well, what type of art? Because I just noticed when it comes to North Richmond, we don't have real tasteful art. It's like, and I understand there's different ethnics that live here in the community, but it would be very tasteful to have some real nice art at the community center instead of a whole lot of stuff just thrown up. Like, okay, I'm high and this is what I'm, throwing up. No.
Okay. We're going to have we're going to have other parts where we talk about the art. So let's see if there are any more comments. We're going to yes.
Okay. This is Annie. I was out with you Saturday.
Yes.
A couple of things. I'm looking at number 2, and I have a concern about the fitness zone for the adults that we talked about. That unit that they had where you sit down and you do different leg stretches and the whole bit. That seems pretty small compared to the bike pump track, which is taking a lot of space. I think it's taken away from the, I think it could be cut back somewhat, at least, to 25%. 75% would be large enough, I think, for that tracking, and to also expand the fitness zone for the adults that we talked about. The other thing that I didn't see is the chess tables, the checkers and chess tables, the art of chess that we talked about, tables to be placed. I didn't see that in your list that you had.
That's better under picnic games and tables.
Right. Okay.
It's on the blue.
Right.
Light
now,
blue.
as far as I'm looking at number 2, and I was just thinking, as far as the stage for number 2, I am agreed with the stage, but I was also thinking that we have all these different performances there, and to get a table, to get a stage large enough for different, you know, have a set, even if it could be disassembled and assembled. I don't know if it could be portable, and then have that open space for ground, you know, for lawn entertainment, along with stage entertainment. I was just thinking about to be versatile. So that's just my idea for there.
Okay.
But as far as the art, I talked about the art, and I was speaking of some type of structure, some type of more or less a fountain, something of the nature of art or structure, some type of sculpture. To be a really nice sculpture that will identify to be for the community, but a sculpture, a really nice sculpture to be in place. And I think I mentioned to you, not as, you know, not as the visual that we have at the City of Richmond in its, you know, in its foyer as you come into the City of Richmond, but some type of sculpture that is active, flows, water, or something of that nature, to have into that design. So anyway, those was my those are my comments.
Okay, and we're going to have to conclude it right here because we've got some other agenda items. But we have listed an area. I mean, you can still give comments. I think if you look in the chat, they've given you places where you can call and actually go online, take a survey, etc.
So can I ask one quick question? Don, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Can we quickly go through the preferences and just have less discussion, if that's okay?
Well, if you want to do, if everybody wants to put their suggestions in number 1, 2, or 3 in the chat room, so you can have us, you know, give you an idea of what everybody wants, we can do that.
Yes. Okay. Can I have like 5 more minutes?
You could do that. I mean, did you want to do more than have them put it in the chat room?
Yeah, there's other things. If we can go, they can put in there. Okay, so we'll move to the next one.
I could also launch the poll. You don't have to even talk. I could just launch the poll and scroll.
Okay.
Through, and we can record it that way.
I'm sorry.
So I'm gonna launch the poll real quickly for the 3 layout options. I know 2 is really popular, so make sure you vote right now. I'm gonna launch it right now.
How do you do that?
It should show up on your screen.
Yep. And
okay. Layout number 2 seems to be popular.
Everybody chooses what they want. Yeah.
Yes. I'm sorry.
Okay. I'm gonna run it for 15 more seconds. Please put in your votes.
Okay.
Okay.
Sarah, what's your full name?
All right.
Hi, it's Sarah Gronquist, Gronquist.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's see. And then we want to also go over just quickly, because we want to make sure that whatever we apply for is something the community wants. That's why it's so important. I'm sorry, I didn't know, thought we had more time. I thought we had 30 minutes, or I thought we had more time. I apologize.
Hasn't it been 30 minutes? Is it not 30 minutes?
No.
Go ahead.
Okay, so we have different type of styles. So just really quickly, so we have different styles for you guys to look at. We have nature play, which is based on nature. We have bright and colorful, which is self-explanatory. And then we have a fantasy type of dream, a fairy tale. So if you were to choose how you would want it to look, if you could select which one. And they have a poll coming up.
Give me 1 second, I'm so sorry.
So you can say 1, 2, or 3.
Nature play, huh?
So it'll be more natural, or it'll be more colorful, or it'll be like more fantasy, like for little kids.
By the way, if I can interject, thank you, Janae. Please continue to describe and to show. We want to get quality feedback and vote.
Yes.
Let's just limit discussion so that we can move on as soon as possible.
Okay. Thank you. All right, next we have art sculptures, or the art features. So since art was so important to how you guys want to have, what another feature you want to have in the park. I want to make sure that you guys decide which type of art you like. As you said, you want to make sure it's just not thrown up there. You want to make sure that it's something meaningful. And if you have any comments about it, if you could place it in the chat. If you see something up here that's not what you want, or you maybe want to change a little something about one of these ideas, please place it in the chat. So if we could have the poll, 1, 2, 3. So 1 is more mural-like, 2 is like mosaic art, 3 is sculpture, and then, or you could have a floor type of pavement type of art. Stephanie, can you do more than one option, or only one option?
When you're looking at the art elements, you have to look at endurance also.
Oh yeah, so everything that we do, we have to make sure it has a 30-year lifespan at least.
Exactly. You don't want to put something up there, paint it, and it fade away in 5 years.
That's right. We have to think about maintenance and think about durability. All that goes into consideration. And you guys have made a lot of good points about that as far as like the garden and everything. Okay, is it done? So then I also want to make sure, number 4. What? So if number 4 is not a choice, you can put it in the chat, please. Another thing we want to look at is the safety. That's very important. I don't know if we're done with that, Stephanie, with the arts poll. Okay, so the safety, it's a very important thing we need to consider. That was a big thing. So I want to look at trash as one thing they were talking about, the community you mentioned a lot, and safety. So what are your areas, what are the safety concerns? I understand it's the bikers, and there's also concerns about maybe the placement of different features. So what are your concerns on the site?
Well, you know, I'm going to say this, we mentioned before, public restrooms, because if there's no outside public restrooms, I mean permanent fixtures, not little porta potties, people will urinate and whatever on the outside in the park.
Okay.
So I say a permanent public restroom.
Okay. What about activating? So there was a lot of talk about the biker area where people like sit maybe in the front and maybe do drinking and smoking. How about that area?
They sit over there by the baseball field. By the
Have you thought about different ways to activate, or what are your thoughts about maybe putting something else in the place of that so that there's not so much of that issue going on?
And get them off of Main Street if they're going to do that. I mean, you know, it has to be a designated place in the park where they can hang out if they just have to hang out. I'm not saying doing illegal things while hanging out, but if they just want to gather, you know, I put them on the backside. I put them on the way far side, Cherry Street or something.
Okay, so place it like the table areas along Cherry Street side. So that was, okay, around here. Okay.
Yeah, I would get them off the main entrance to the park, like the recreation building and stuff like that on Kelsey. I would try and get them off of that main street.
Okay, get them off the main street. So then come other safety concerns were about the lighting. So is there adequate lighting around the front or the back side?
Need adequate lighting, plus you need outlets, electrical outlets. When we get ready to do an event, we don't have electricity. That's the main problem with us.
Okay.
Electricity. We need electrical outlets.
Okay.
Out the park.
You know, they have power at the poles, but it doesn't work.
Okay.
Yeah, I know it don't work.
Stuff that works.
Also, what about security cameras?
That would be
okay. Alrighty. Let me see. Are there any other concerns, like with the pathway? Is there adequate fencing along? There's that nice path between the field, the baseball field, and the park area for the non-field area? Okay. Next, and thank you, Don, for allowing us to have more time to get these ideas. Okay, so that's it. I want to thank you guys so much for this, because it's really important that the way the park stays well is it's about the community. So if you guys activate it, you work together to make sure it's sustainable, we can try to make sure we have a good park. We have upcoming meetings. So we have one tomorrow with the Parks and Rec Commission. We're going to get more ideas from the Parks and Rec Commission tomorrow. And then we have another one with the Richmond the Richmond Neighborhood Coordinating Council. That's on the 19th. And we have a final sidewalk presentation or sidewalk meeting that we're going to have October 22nd. So the same place we had it before, right in front of the baseball field, 10 to 1 o'clock. Then you guys can have your ideas. And it's really important that you guys say what you want. It's not our park. We're not going to decide what to do with it. We need you to place your ideas and say what you want and give your opinions. We're going to take all your comments and we're going to make another layout based on all of the type of comments you said today, which is great about the art, and especially about the stage placement and where to put the tables. And Stephanie, I believe, she gave a link to a survey if you want to have other comments. So if you didn't give any more comments here today, you can have the link that's in the chat, and then you can spread it out, spread it far and wide, so that North Richmond residents can decide how they want the park to change. And we'll keep you updated. The application is due in December, and we'll keep you posted.
Okay, we appreciate you. But
Thank you, guys.
Would like to, according to funding, we would like to have a park that's really great in design and kind of stands out, like something award winning. You know, that's what we're about.
I agree. Okay. We wanted to represent you guys.
Right.
All right. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Don.
Okay, we're going to move to the next presentation is on the watershed project.
Hi, thanks. As soon as Stephanie's done sharing, I'll get ready to share my screen.
Thank you.
Perfect. So hi, thank you for having me here tonight, everyone. My name is Anne, and I work for the Watershed Project. I'm the Education and Community Programs Manager there. I realize this slide has a lot of letters thrown on it, and I promise I'm going to explain what all of those stand for and what they mean. But I'm excited tonight to share with you the results and some of the next steps of a community-based planning process around water in North Richmond. So this IRWM, just to provide a little context about what we were doing here, this stands for Integrated Regional Water Management, which is a planning process that involves stakeholders from multiple different areas that have traditionally been managed kind of separately from one another. So stormwater, wastewater, drinking water, and this planning process brings them all together and allows them to evaluate the entire picture of a region's relationship to water and to develop solutions that have multiple benefits to address water-related needs. So there is funding available through the program to then also plant and implement these projects. Now, as part of this program, Proposition 1 funds were designated to ensure what they refer to as disadvantaged communities, which is based on median household income, were involved in this planning process. And so our role at the Watershed Project is to facilitate a community-based planning process in North Richmond to identify and prioritize water-related improvements, so the things that are of greatest need to the community. It's important to note that we, the Watershed Project, would not be the lead agency implementing most of these projects. So usually that would be the city, the county, or the utility district of some sort. But instead, our role was to kind of gather input from the community on what they'd like to see and to work with these stakeholder or government partners to ensure that these projects are addressing the community's greatest needs as they move forward for implementation. So here are the steps we kind of took to do that. We conducted a needs assessment, which I'll talk about in a minute, and then developed projects out of that. We're now in the process of trying to identify and apply for funding, both funding that's available through this specific program, but also from other sources, and then actually finalizing the plans and implementing as many of these projects as possible. So I mentioned that the first step was a needs assessment. So last spring, in spring 2019, we conducted a needs assessment to identify kind of what were the community's priorities for water-related improvements. So we surveyed residents at community events, like we were just talking about Earth Day at Shields Reed, and conducted in-depth interviews and had some educational workshops with a focus group of about 50 residents. And I know for a fact a couple of them are on this call. And in addition to identifying water-related community needs, this process also allowed us to get a sense of, you know, what do community members already know and understand about water-related issues in North Richmond, and what type of community education is going to be useful around future projects. So these were the needs that the community identified for North Richmond. Clean drinking water. Now, in the educational workshop, residents learned that the source water in North Richmond is great. It's some of the best in the country. However, a lot of residents don't trust their water when it actually comes out of the tap, and several have experienced problems with it. Things like discoloration, like a weird, you know, taste, or drying out your skin or your hair when you wash with it. So that indicates that, you know, there might be some issues with the plumbing itself in the building. So residents were really interested in a way to verify whether their water that's coming from the tap is safe to drink and use. Urban greening, green infrastructure, and parks. We're going to be talking a lot about those in the other presentations tonight. Solutions to sea level rise and flooding. Sewer system improvement and protection is also based on the fact that the wastewater treatment plant in North Richmond is really vulnerable to sea level rise. And water conservation and use of recycled water was also important to the community. So our next task was then to take that list of community priorities and identify specific projects that would address those needs that we could then kind of move forward for funding. So these next few slides will describe how we did that. We took what the community had told us and we presented it to a variety of stakeholders in the North Richmond community. Several of them are on this slide here, and we worked with them to brainstorm and identify any possible projects that might align with the community's needs and priorities. Involving these stakeholders was important because it allowed us to identify projects that are actually feasible, for one, and also it allowed us to get buy-in from the agencies that would likely be the ones to actually be the primary applicant for funding and be the ones to implement the project. So we, after all of that, ended up with a list of 15 possible projects to take back to the community for feedback. So right as we were getting ready to do that, the pandemic hit in spring 2020. So we had to modify our outreach strategy in light of COVID. And for the sake of time tonight, I'll just provide some brief information about how we did outreach to the community, but I have a longer slide deck that I'll link in the chat at the end of my presentation, and there's a lot more detailed information in there if you're interested in hearing more about it. So we had a contact list of folks that we already knew in North Richmond, and we sent out mailers to them, so paper surveys and things in the mail to reach those for whom who might not have internet access or aren't great with technology. But we also provided these same surveys online and through social media, which allowed us to reach some new folks. And in these materials, we presented some information about each of these possible projects, and then we asked residents to complete a survey to where they ranked the projects in terms of their urgency and their importance. And about 50 community members shared their input. So I'm going to share what came out of this. So in terms of the most important types of improvements, this is what we heard from folks. There were 7 types of improvements that I shared earlier that came out of the needs assessment, and folks said that yes, those are all definitely needed, but when they were sort of asked which ones were more or less important, then these 3 were the ones that came up as top priorities. Solutions to flooding during the rainy season, more green spaces, parks, and opportunities for walking and biking, and improvements to drinking water quality, like I mentioned earlier. And I have a list here of the top 7 projects. Again, there was a list of 15 overall that we were asking community members about. And community members said that all of them were at least somewhat needed. So we are still working toward trying to move all of these forward. But since, you know, funding is limited in most cases, we wanted to see which ones were kind of most urgent, which ones should we prioritize. And this is what the community told us, that the highest priority projects were the North Richmond pump station upgrade and tap water testing, education, and outreach. So the pump station protects North Richmond from flooding when it rains, and there is a pump station upgrade that's already underway to try to upgrade that pump. It's aging and it needed to be updated. However, my understanding is that the pump station is also vulnerable to sea level rise in the future, and the current upgrade doesn't include measures for kind of how to deal with that. So we hope that that could be a component of that project in the future. I mentioned also before how getting some reassurance and some clarity about the safety of drinking water, tap water in North Richmond was another big priority for folks. The next most important projects were flood risk reduction in the Ream Creek watershed. If anyone is not familiar with the Rollingwood neighborhood, there's a stretch of Ream Creek that's very narrow and it runs behind people's homes. And over the years, there's been a lot of sediment building up in the creek and a lot of overgrown vegetation to the point that when it rains, rather than the water kind of flowing down through the creek and out toward the bay, it actually comes up out of the creek through people's yards onto the streets and causes pretty severe flooding several times a year. And this has been happening for the last 20 years or so. So there is already a project underway to figure out why that flooding is happening and develop a solution to help reduce that risk of flooding. Wildcat Creek Trail improvements. Princess, in her work at Urban Tilth, has done a great job of leading a community planning process for what folks would like to see along the Wildcat Creek Trail. And then finally, in the third most important category, K through 12 environmental education with field trips. So providing students with opportunities to learn about the environment around them, to go take field trips out into the community, out into their local parks, and get to kind of learn outside. And then these final 2, the Green Benefit District and the Green Street Corridor, John Steer is on the call and he's going to give a presentation next, so I'll let him talk more about those. So some takeaways in general from this whole process, perhaps unsurprisingly, residents are interested in addressing immediate health, safety, and quality of life issues first, in particular, the drinking water quality and preventing flooding during the rainy season. And then prioritizing projects that are going to create more access to parks and green space, which I heard kind of 2 reasons for this from folks. One is that, you know, opportunities for recreation for North Richmond community members, but then also habitat restoration opportunities and benefits for wildlife. So like we were talking about a habitat garden in the Shields Reed Park, that it could be a butterfly or a pollinator garden, also creating opportunities for, you know, fish and squirrels and all of those fun creatures. And finally, throughout this process, folks just reiterated the importance of community education alongside these planning processes. So they really valued programs that would introduce children to new experiences and knowledge. That's what I was talking about with the school programs. That education and transparency are key to establishing trust within the community, and so is following through with implementing plans. You know, there have been a lot of, surveys at this point, a lot of discussion, and folks have been really engaged and involved. And, an important part of showing that stakeholders are honoring those opinions and that effort is to make sure that we're really doing everything we can to then find the funding and the plans that are needed to make these projects actually happen on the ground. So with that, what we're working on now is, again, part of what I'm doing here tonight is reporting back to stakeholders in the community, just so that as many people as possible know about what North Richmond residents would like to see in terms of water in North Richmond, and that we're all on the same page about what to move forward. We're working to identify potential funding sources. Again, there is already some funding built in through this program, which is great. But some of these projects might not be the best fit for this specific program, so we're working to find other sources as well, and then seek funding to then implement the projects. And I'll put a couple of links in the chat, but aside from that, I'm happy to take questions or comments from anyone.
Any questions?
Yeah, this is Dr. Henry Clark. Yeah, I have a question. I appreciate the presentation, but as I recall, the MAC in the North Richmond community years ago had a designated the Verde School in front of the creek there as an outdoor educational center where students from Verde could get environmental education. And I see that that particular project hadn't seemed like it's been lost in the atmosphere somewhere, like many other projects concerned that we discussed over the years, and they seem to be lost in time for some reason. So are you familiar with that particular project?
I believe so. If it's the same one that I have heard about, yes. And I agree with that. It's a great opportunity. The creek is right there next to the school. It would be really easy to get kids outside. And I know that one project that I've been talking with some folks about recently is retrofitting the fish ladder that's right there next to Verde Elementary. And as part of the fish ladder retrofit, also then creating a park and an outdoor classroom that could be used by the kids at the school. So I don't know if that idea or that concept kind of came out of these ideas that you all have been talking about earlier, but it's a concept that I feel like I've heard thrown around a few times, and I think that'd be great.
Okay, so I would say, so that's all good, but so where is that idea going? Is that going to be pursued in terms of any funding for making that a reality, or were we just tossing the idea around and it's going to drop in space somewhere?
Yeah, I sure hope not. No, we have a grant that we have already applied for through the Department of Water Resources for that project. So it would be the plans for the fish ladder retrofit and the community design for the park and outdoor classroom that would be there at next to Verde along the creek. And the DWR, the Department of Water Resources, has already mostly said yes to funding it. They do have some concerns about the designs of the fish ladder, so they're in discussions with them about that piece of it now, but I'm hoping that that funding will actually come through. And I'm actually working on another grant application this week for I believe it's the California Fish Passage Act for that same project. So hopefully, even if the Department of Water Resources funding doesn't come through, this other funding will come through.
Okay, we got time for a couple more questions, then we have to move on. Any other questions? Okay, well, thank you for the presentation. I know you'll be coming back to us and keeping us updated.
Of course, thank you.
On progress. And we're gonna move now to the North Richmond Green Street project.
Hi, can you hear me? Okay.
Yes. Yes.
Great. This is John Steer. I'm the watershed planner for Contra Costa County's watershed program, and I'll get right into this. I see we don't have a lot of time here, so I'll share a screen of the slideshow regarding the Green Streets North Richmond Green Streets corridor. Let's see, hopefully it's working. I've done this.
Let me do this before you continue. So I'm going to ask the board to allow us to go to 7:10, 10 minutes after 7, to allow the 20 minutes. Let's just say 7:15. If I get a motion, and can we get a motion for that?
I make the motion that we extend the meeting till 7:15 to allow for the last presentation.
Is there a second?
And I second it.
Okay. All in favor is no by saying aye.
Aye.
Abstentions. Okay, it carries. Okay, go ahead now.
Yeah, can you actually see my slideshow?
Yes.
Great.
Yes.
Okay. Hopefully it'll work. Okay, so first time I've done this. All right. So let's see. Oh, it's weird. I can't seem to make it move. Let's see here. Okay. Maybe I need to be. I guess I probably need to be in the slideshow itself in order to move it. Let's see here. Is it moving or not?
No.
Oh, shoot. It's sharing, but it's not moving. Okay. Now is it moving?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Great. So, so what you're seeing here is a location map of North Richmond, basically, but you can see surrounding it is a whole series of trails. The most important of which is the Bay Trail, that running north and south, more or less, around the perimeter of the bay. And what we're looking at here is creating a east-west axis. You guys see the North Richmond Green Streets corridor location map? Is he seeing that, the location map now?
Yes.
Or not? Okay,
Yes.
good. And so what this would actually do, this corridor, which runs from the Bay Trail to the west along Parr Boulevard, then on the North Richmond Watershed Connections route of Fred Jackson Way, down running kind of, that would provide the north-south axis of Complete Street or Green Street through Richmond, that we're actually in the project, we're actually in project mode now for that. You may recall about 2-3 years ago, I presented to the MAC several times the North Richmond Watershed Connections project, which, as you know, is now a Coastal Conservancy grant funded, almost $1 million grant, which we will hope to start this fall to do a complete street on Fred Jackson Way. Anyway, but the middle of the project is actually underway, but then the western portion of Parr and the eastern portion of Market would be the new segments providing east-west access. So what it would be, as I was starting to say, the first segment is Parr Boulevard, connecting Fred Jackson Way to the Bay Trail access point at the West County Transfer Facility. Segment 2 being of the Green Street, which basically, as I should mention, is combining green infrastructure with a bike route, makes a complete street or a green street. Anyway, that would connect Parr down to Market. And so the idea there is to connect, connect Fred Jackson Way is underway. Then the third segment is Market Avenue. So what are the benefits? Well, it's as we already heard from Ann, it's we're completing a disadvantaged communities Irwin process there, and as we learned from that, one of the things that the community of North Richmond really wants, one of the key takeaways is that access to parks and green space. Well, that's what this does. And I should mention, by the way, that in the green infrastructure plan the county approved in August of last year, probably the primary project in the GI plan, or the primary opportunity, is this project, the North Richmond Green Streets corridor. And as I mentioned, it also connects to the Watershed Connections project, and would involve probably local nonprofits such as Watershed Project, Urban Tilth, and other community members and perhaps groups. So benefits also include access to the Bay Trail, Rumbrel Green Street, Wildcat Creek Trail. And by the way, I should mention here that, you know, the desire to incorporate, let's actually go to the next side here. If you look at this side, Wildcat Creek Trail is a great trail to go on, but it's as we all know, it stops at the Richmond Parkway to the west and stops to the east at the railroad tracks. And there's really no way of easily bridging that in a financially feasible way. Probably cost $30 million to cross over the railroad tracks to the east. It would probably cost that amount to do a flyover over the parkway. So what this is actually doing, as you can see, is providing an access that parallels Wildcat Creek and parallels San Pablo Creek to the north, and provides access to the Bay Trail to the west and access to the Rummill Boulevard Complete Street, which is going to be under construction this coming year. So think of this as a regional recreational amenity in terms of a green street, greenway, if it were to be built. So let's look at each of the each of the segments. Park Boulevard would be the first one, and let's go to the actual. So you see here that it stops at the Bay Trail connection, the staging area, as you see here, a little yellow light, little arrow, which accesses the Bay Trail that goes north and south from there. Then it runs, then the Parr Boulevard segment runs east, crosses at the lights along Parr Boulevard, and we show GI central green infrastructure opportunities there. Then we crossing over the Richmond Parkway, it runs along, parallels San Pablo Creek, and then connects to Fred Jackson Way, where it turns the corner and goes south. As you can see, then it crosses San Pablo Creek at that point. Let's take a quick look at the potential schematic design for this. Everything here is very conceptual. We haven't even costed it out yet. Really, this presentation, like what you received before the North Richmond Watershed Connections project began, is really an opportunity to show you the opportunities for it and build community support for this future Green Street corridor. So here's a kind of a cross-sectional view of what it could look like. You know, you have you can see the GI feature provides on the south side provides a barrier between auto traffic and the bicycle lane, which makes it safer. Here's an example of what it might look like. This is actually taken from the Rummill Boulevard Green Street at the images as a simulation of what it looked like. So now we go to segment 2, Fred Jackson Way. This is already part of the North Richmond Watershed Connections project, which is underway, but not implemented yet. Underway, we're developing the contracts right now with Urban Tilth, who's doing the Fred Jackson Way Rain Garden, and the Watershed Project, who will be doing the urban greening on Fred Jackson Way and other issues such as the planting of about 50 street trees in the residential section. So what we see here is a little arrow and showing a cross-sectional view of what Fred Jackson Way Green Street would look like potentially. And another section here showing what the Fred Jackson Way Rain Garden cross-section might look like. You can sort of see, if you look carefully, you'll see a little purple outline showing the North Richmond Urban Farm there. That's where the Fred Jackson Way Rain Garden would be, at the very edge of that, along the sidewalk area. Now we'll move to Market Avenue. I know you've actually received a presentation before by Mary Halley of our Transportation Engineering Department about this. I know it has some issues regarding potential loss of parking, but it can be accomplished probably without much, if any, loss of parking to accomplish Green Street along Market Avenue. So here's kind of the look of what it would be. You turning off of Fred Jackson Way. You have some bulb outs, which would be where the GI features would be. Again, showing here on 5th and 6th, and let's one more. Now crossing railroad tracks, you actually wouldn't have too many opportunities there to do bulb outs, given the location. But here's a cross-sectional view, which I believe you may have received more presentation about this a few months ago by Mary's colleague Jeff. So here's bulb outs and bioretention features. What it might look like. And then in terms of funding it, the county is currently looking at a green benefits district as part of, we're also referring to as a community climate district, community climate benefits district. And this is gonna be part of the climate action plan as well as the reaching kind of implementation of the GI plan itself. So we're doing a feasibility study of this presently to see how this could be set up. I'm not going to detail much about how this would be set up, but just to say that here are the ways it could be used. Operation maintenance, we could actually work with nonprofits to help do the maintenance, such as the Watershed Project, Urban Tilth, if they have trained technicians, so they can do cleanup and graffiti abatement. So this is something that would be very beneficial to community residents as well as to the county. So here's a disadvantaged community green benefits district approach. You can see the benefits there. You have reliable funding, local workforce development, local platform of advocacy. More to come on that as we develop a feasibility study on this over the next 3 to 4 months. I already saw that. And then I won't actually take much time with this. P3 is basically a combination of public-private partnership, and given all the development that's going on in the industrial area, we can combine potentially the stormwater treatment facilities that they have to do for new development in the industrial area with GI here. So GI infrastructure is not required, it's an additional thing, but if you combine what's required with what's not required on the street, that it provides more opportunities for combining both features and then having the private developer manage both or maintain both. And that's been one of our biggest issues with green infrastructure, is providing long-term maintenance. So opportunities for having the owner of a adjoining facility next to the street, whether it be Fred Jackson Way or more likely PAR, maintain a GI facility and have it maintained potentially in the future by a green benefits district structure would be the way to go, potentially. So those are two potential sources of funding. There's other potential sources we can discuss as during this period. Questions and discussion?
Oh, Mr. John.
Yes.
What about the, you say something about access would be over the Richmond Parkway. What about the underground trail that's at the Richmond Parkway?
Well, that's a good question. That exists presently, but given sea level rise and given that it often needs to be cleaned out, it's not a really viable long-term trail underpass.
So is it going to be taken out, or what? What's going to be the deal with that?
Well, I mean, I just don't. You'd have to ask the East Bay Regional Park District that question. But I've known that. I'm sorry.
That's East Bay Regional Park, right?
Yes, and like I said, that was blocked for about 5-6 years with sediment, and with sea level rise, continuing, it'll probably get blocked more often.
So that's a bad idea. That thing is.
Yes, and a flyover is rather expensive. So see this as a cost-effective, relatively cost-effective workaround for the Wildcat Creek Trail. Because ultimately, the Rumrail Trail, the Rumrail Green Street will connect with the Wildcat Trail upstream from here, which is an interesting piece to know.
Rumrail Trail,
Yeah, the Rumrail Corridor, which is being built by the city of San Pablo in the next year and a half. It's going to be the longest green street in the East Bay when it's done, about 1.5 miles.
Okay.
Yeah, this would be at 1.5 miles too, should it be funded and built. But it's obviously a fairly ambitious project. The one segment is already funded. That's the Fred Jackson Way piece, segment 2. But segment 1, PAR, and segment 3 are not funded.
Okay. All right. Just wondering about that underground trail.
Sure.
Any other questions? Comments? Okay, thank you much. We'll continue to get reports back from you as this makes its way through.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak.
All right. All right, so folks, I want to thank you for pressing through the meetings with us. This is going to conclude us, and until next time, thank you for joining. We are adjourned. Thank you.
All righty. Thank you. Have a blessed good evening,
Bye-bye.
everybody.